With today's 110 points down move, it seems that the benchmark Nifty is now giving us some clear signals about the immediate direction of itself, probably on the downside. Traders, good evening. We are on the 11th of November 2021. It's a Thursday evening, 7:45 p.m. And we have an 110 points negative close from the Nifty near month futures, manages a close at 17,912, which is not bad considering the fact that it fell all the way down to 17,807. So over 100 points bounce back from the intraday lows. Let's open the 75-minute time frame chart. We've been working at it at length. So what has happened with today's fall? An important crucial aspect is very clearly the index has taken itself away from that 18,100 level that we've been talking about, a break above which will give us some kind of momentum on the upside. That's a little far now. The psychological 18K mark is not too far away, less than 100 points, and 100 points is no big deal for the index. But the fact that the index reacted down from the anticipated zone of 18K, 18,100, 150 zone that we have marked here, this gray zone, the very fact that index respected this zone and has led to a complex correction, a multi-legged correction, confirms that 18K is not going to be an easy nut for the index. Now, the short-term trend has turned down from a undecided state. Now it has definitely turned down. And the erstwhile level, which was 650, 750, if you remember last week, I think we were talking about these levels, again opens up. The possibility of a retest of 650, 750 is very high. We have the previous swing low. We have a VWAP coming in from as low as late August this year. And then if you consider the entire run up after the congestion that we had, if you remember, the month of June, July and almost early August was just a complete consolidation. From the last leg of that consolidation, if we take a VWAP, it comes to around 17,390.93, which essentially corroborates with 340, 450. In fact, if I write it down, it will be easier for us as we create ongoing market videos. It will be easier for us to remember. Let's put it below. So a retest of 650, 750 is highly possible. And if the going gets good for the bears and bad for the bulls, then one should prepare itself for 350, 450 as well. So first leg of correction, then a bounce back. This was a second leg of correction. Then another bounce back, which was pretty impressive because it made a higher high. And now we are stuck. So the downside levels are fairly obvious for the market. Let me quickly draw a fib projection just to see if I can get some kind of, not bad. So close to that 17,440, 450 comes the 127.2. I'll keep this projection on the downside just for the time being. And the market was such that I never actually drew a projection on the downside. And so all of them were color coded blue. Let's make it red so that I remember this is projection. So short-term trend has turned down and it has broken below the volume profile point of control of the short-term bounce back. And so it looks like maybe the index will take some time to extend itself further down. Maybe we are used to seeing surprise bounce backs over the last year and a half, very sharp bounce back. So one should not ignore that completely, still considering the fact that we are in a bull market. So I would say that the cautiously bullish stance and trade light and stay in the sidelines kind of view that we've been talking about for a few days, last few days, I think we can take that bullishness out for some time. Even if the index bounces back, let's say the index surprises us with 100, 150, 200 points bounce, and we find ourselves up here at 18,100. That's a good sign. That will be a good move, bullish move. Very nice. But it doesn't make the life of a short-term trader easier, because these kind of wild swings on either side of the market makes very difficult to catch the trend. And unless we catch the tail of the trend, it will be very difficult to follow it. And of course, stop losses get triggered very bad. So let's not stay bullish right now. Let's wait. If the index comes down to these levels, respects these supports, creates some kind of divergences, then we can look for some contrarian view. Let's quickly talk about levels. If the index manages a bounce back, of course 18k is the level. In fact, we have this zone 18,000 all the way up to 18,150 on the upside. On the downside, 650, 750 from a short-term perspective, and then 350, 450 from a slightly longer perspective. Bank Nifty, not so good. In fact, I've drawn similar kind of levels for the Bank Nifty and a volume profile. Now, the important thing for volume, from the perspective of volume profile on the Bank Nifty, this is a 75-minute chart, is from the level of 38,000 down all the way. We've got pretty decent amount of participation in terms of volumes. So it's primarily 38,000. Now, close to this 38,000, we have two highs. One is this one, and if I extend it towards the right, then this one. This is September this year, and this is 16th September. Oh, this is 75-minute chart. So yes, this is 17 September, 27 September. If I extend this further on the right hand side, it kind of confluences with VWAP, which is at 38,145. We are at 38,695, 38,700. So a further extension down can find ourselves quickly close to that 38,000, 38,100 level. A similar projection for the Bank Nifty on the downside. There you go, 38,188. So 38,000, 38,200. Let's keep this in mind from a short-term perspective for the Bank Nifty. That's where we can find some support. That's where we can find some divergence kicking in. And if that happens, we can probably look to play the bounce back. This was a 75-minute time frame. Daily charts are inching close to this zone. So I think the possibility of a retest of these lows are very, very likely. In terms of short-term levels on the upside, if we take a look at this low and extend it further, then we are looking at a level of around 39,100. The VWAP is fairly higher, and I need to extend this volume profile. I'm sorry, this is not the volume profile. This is the volume profile. I'll extend it further to the current bar just to see where the point of control comes. It's around 39,600. So we'll keep a look at these levels. It's not looking that pretty at all. Seems like it has further room on the downside to slip. Let's take a look at the various sectoral indices. Apart from the CNX metal, rest of them all negative, leading realty, PSU banks, pharma, finance, media, auto, and the rest. We did manage to get some kind of good movement coming in from few selective stocks towards the end of today's trade, especially Reliance and TCS. Top stocks, if you sort them, TCS stands out as one stock which bounced back, but it's still in a pretty decent downtrend. I was hopeful of some movement coming on from this pack, HCL, TCS, but somehow it didn't materialize. Reliance we've been talking about for I think 3 days now. It's a short-term bounce back, looks promising, but I think it's likely to get tired as it goes, stretches itself towards that 2550, 2600 mark. Tata Steel is an interesting stock to look at, because if you take a look at the daily chart of Tata Steel, it's just sitting there a little above that 1300 mark. A breakdown, and I think the stock will underperform quite a bit. Apart from these three names, all the stocks underperformed. I have been talking about iBank. I still like iBank because it's going through a short-term correction. It's closing this gap. It's in an uptrend. Range has been contracting. So I will definitely go for iBank when I get a good setup. I think sometime soon, maybe tomorrow or early next week. And there's one more stock, which is Maruti. Nice ebb and flow, higher highs, higher lows, enters the zone of moving averages. So we will keep a close look at this. These are the two stocks among the top 17 stocks which I feel can give us some movement soon when the index decides to bounce. Coming to the scanner, this is the Iris Plus software. We'll go to the technical query. Nifty 200 has been selected. I'll load the InstaView scanner and run it here. Let's see if we get some names. Inside bar will be less because it was a day of range expansion. ITC is an inside bar. Interesting, but not so promising. It's slipped into a downtrend. Range is contracting, inside bar. It's opened up on the downside a little bit. So definitely prospective counter for a short-term short trade, maybe if it opens up on the downside, breaks today's low anytime soon. In terms of the bullish bearish Harami pattern, I will turn this into a Japanese candlestick chart. Will not consider this because of the long length of lower shadow. It's a starter consumer. Bharti Airtel is slowing down. Short-term traders can definitely, I will be eyeing this stock from a 75-minute time frame on the long side soon. Torrent Power is a nice bearish Harami pattern. Yes, it is. It doesn't have the support of any divergence on the top. So just based on the bearish Harami pattern below today's low, one can look at it. Remember, you're shorting Tata Power, Torrent Power. These are erstwhile very strong stocks. So I would love to short a sector or a stock which is relatively weaker. Indigo, I will not call this a bullish Harami because of the size of the downtrend is quite limited. Now this is taking a shape of a flag. Pattern traders can take note. 2200, you can mark it a breakout above which Indigo can go further up. Gujarat Gas seems like a decent bearish Harami pattern, not a very liquid one in the futures market. ICICI, no. ITC we spoke of, looks good. Oro Pharma, definitely no, it's no uptrend. And then IGL, yes. IGL is a weak counter. It's in a definite downtrend. It's given us a bounce back, gone over, bought, created a quick divergence. Now this is a decent setup. The only thing that if you focus a little bit close on the on this particular chart, then you will notice that the size of the baby candle, let's call this the mother candle and the baby candle. This is the mother candle and the next one is the baby candle. This white bar is not that small. It should have been a little more smaller. It would have added a little bit of more punch. But IGL and I would say ITC on the short-term downside, and then Torrent Power. But I'll be careful with Torrent Power. Breakout, we spoke about trend yesterday. I think the stock did give us a breakout today. ITC falls under the breakout candidate. And amongst the rest, from a perspective of a bullish breakout, I don't think so. Today we will get any kind of a setup, keeping in mind the kind of markets that we have. Indus Tower is buying some time. Ultra Chem is slowing down, and who's this? Sanofi, not the best of stocks to trade. Looks okay. I think if you want to go for strength, then keep a close look at Bharti Airtel further ahead. Oracle long for a short-term intraday. Bob, no. Yesterday was pretty long range. This is an interesting chart. Jindal Steel created a nice looking bullish Harami. Why didn't it come in my bullish Harami scanner? I wonder why. Maybe because this was negative. That's why. That is the primary reason. Britannia, from a long perspective, no. And Tata Steel, we just spoke about how it's just holding off the 13K mark. So I wouldn't go for intraday longs right now in tomorrow's session. From a short perspective, Ipca Lab looks well placed for a quick drop down, and Oro Pharma, Bosch, not very liquid. India Mart also no. So I would probably go with Ipca Lab from an Oracle short perspective. Breakouts, none. On the upside, Bharti Airtel, I will keep a close look. ITC can be a counter which can break below today's low for further weakness. So can the two power stocks. They're strong, Torrent Power and Tata Power. If you take a look at a quick, let's say 1 lakh and 70%, more than 70% delivery percentage in today's session, and Nifty 200, let's process this. I would like to see some good names. Bajaj Auto, okay. 71, 63, 48, not much delivery percentage, only in today's session. Crompton, okay. Dabur is a good counter, 71, 65, 48. So it's just picking up as the market kind of. And then we have Infosys, 71, 71, 68, 70, 67. So pretty nice delivery percentage from Infosys is the one that stands out. But good to see stock like Infosys and Bajaj Auto in the list. So this recent movement in the market, we had noticed that how the market had weakened. The large cap had weakened, but the mid and small cap had continued to show momentum. But now I think it's catching up. So let's stay careful. There is no particular reason to be aggressive and to trade on the long side right now. If 650, 750 comes, we will keep a close look how it comes to 650, 750. Is there any kind of slowdown of selling or not? As of now, if I take a look at the 75-minute time frame, based on today's bounce back of 100 points, there is a little bit of slowdown, but this is from an intraday perspective. From the daily charts perspective, I don't think there's any kind of slowdown as of now. So let's wait. Let's be careful. Let's wait for the markets to come down to supports, and then we might get better levels for better risk reward. Let's see what's in store for the next session, tomorrow being the last trading session of the week. Till then, as always, trade well, trade wise.